I mean, this is kind of how you expect eyes to look on a serial killer. Look at him. What's up, guys? So today we're going to be talking about a topic that's been on my mind for a while, and this is something that I think everybody should know in terms of portrait illustrations so that your characters can stop looking like they were dropped as a baby. Today we're talking about perspective, but not just any perspective. We're talking about perspective and how it applies to portraits. On the screen right now, I have a portrait in a weird perspective. Now, a lot of times when we talk about perspective, people start thinking about drawing, environment scenes, buildings, super complex, three-point perspective stuff, but that's not the point. It doesn't have to be just that. Perspective is everywhere. Look at me right now. Look at deep into my eyes. What you're seeing is a front view of my face. Now, you're probably quite familiar with this view right here. The eyes are an almond shape, the nose is straight down, two nostrils, the mouth is just like a little, but you know what I mean. Now, when I turn to the side, first of all, that jawline though. Second of all, the face that you're seeing now is completely different from what you saw before. I just killed the fly. But it doesn't just end there. It's way more complicated than that. Every tiny movement of your subject is going to give you an entirely different result. And I personally had so much trouble grasping this concept when I first started trying to dive into portraits. That's why sometimes you look at really skilled artists and, for example, whoop, right here, it just looks super natural. The character looks right. And then you're like, wow, I'm so inspired. So you try to do a study of their piece, and then somehow your character ends up looking like some kind of abomination that came out of a test tube. Most of the time when I see these mistakes, it's simply because people are just not aware of the perspective that's being applied to all the different features of the face. Can't seem to wrap their little brains around it. Well, I'm gonna give you guys some good basic advice that you could follow in the future when you're drawing portraits so that, they don't have to end up looking like something that was made following a Coolene tutorial. One of the most important things in getting a natural looking portrait is getting down that center line, okay? The center line divides the two halves of your face. So if I hold up my pencil like this, you can see this is my center line, but when I turn my head, look at the center line. Now it's close to the side of my face and far from the back of my head. When I move my head, the center line moves with me. And when I go all the way to the profile, you can see this is what happens. The center line now runs right in front of my face. It's on the very edge, just like me emotionally. Now, looking at Woodup's work, here is the center line, and you can see how all the facial features from the eyes to the nose to the mouth rest on this center line. If you were studying Woodup's work, which you probably have at some point, and you deviated from the center line and you put the mouth over here, let's see if we can make this happen. Look at this abomination. Because we shifted it from the center line, now it looks as though the mouth is on the side of her face. She's doing like a... And this is one of the most common mistakes that I see, right? Things shifting off of the center line and going onto parts of the face that where they're not supposed to be. It's simple, right? No matter which way your face turns, your facial features are gonna stay where they belong. Don't put things where they don't belong. Your hand is at the end of your arm, it doesn't grow out of your butt, so don't put your hand in your butt. And while we're on this topic, here's an example of my work. This is the center line that you see. Every single facial feature is gonna be anchored. Look at everything compared to the center line. Remember, no matter where the center line is, the facial features are gonna follow it. Just like how you should always follow your dreams. So that's the first point. Know your center line. Don't forget about this. Keep it in your head when you're drawing your portraits, okay? If you forget about it, I will come there and I will stick this up. Now, second thing, and again, a very important fundamental, is the eye line. So one vertical line to determine where you're turning your head, and another horizontal line to see the tilt of your head. This is so important. So looking at this portrait, look at this eye line, okay? It's curved upwards because the character is looking up. Now I'm gonna give you guys another really good example of this. So here is an image of a medium attractive man. Look at the eye line here, right? Straight because he's looking at you straight on. Now take a look at this. This is the same man, but he's moaning. Look at him. Look at the curve of the eye line. It's going upwards because the head is tilted up, and as a result we're going to get different shapes entirely for all the facial features. Just look at the eyes, for example. Now when you're drawing an eye, you're thinking probably something like this, right? That's what we all think, but I'm going to stop you right there. There's a big but. Look at what happens to the eye when the head is tilted upwards, okay? There's a big curve right here, but the bottom curve comes up like this, and now the iris is going to be an oval shape like that. Big curve like this, but the bottom curve comes up and there's an oval for the iris. So now we're going to turn Ethan off, and you can see the angle of these eyes. They're following an eye line that's curved upwards. These eyes are looking at you straight on. These eyes are looking up. Now, these subtle changes can sometimes be very, very hard to spot. That's why I don't blame people when they don't get it right, because it's hard. Even I have a hard time with it. Now, here's another beautiful portrait by Rip. I'm going to show you just how subtle this can be. I'm going to take this eye from that character, which is a front view, and now I'm going to put this eye onto another portrait by Rip. And there we go. Same art style, same artist, same kind of lighting, same direction that the character is looking in, but something doesn't look right because the perspective is not right on that eye. We're going to zoom all the way in here and look at the curve of the upper lid of this eye. It's a very smooth oval, but if I turn that layer off, look at the original eye that Bloop drew. The curvature of that upper lid is not a perfectly smooth oval. What he's actually done here is flattened this outer edge and moved this side out into a more pronounced curve. Undo, redo, undo, redo. So subtle. Look here, without proper perspective, it still works. But when you do apply that proper perspective, the face becomes so much more believable. And being able to understand this and harness the power of it is what's gonna separate a great artist from a good artist. Now, I know some of these gosh darn it kids are gonna be like, you're talking about realistic portraits. This doesn't apply to everything, dude. This is one of my pieces, okay? This is a stylized portrait. Look at the shape of this eye. Doesn't matter if you're drawing realistic or stylized, you need to understand how features look in different perspectives to be able to make your characters look believable and expressive. It's like a little pizza. Look at this reference, for example, that I found on Pinterest. Okay, look at the eye. Beautiful oval shape. And let's even come here and look at the nose, okay? 2 nostrils, big nose, beautiful. But she is actually right in front of her reflection, and her reflection is a profile view. So we'll look at the nose here, 1 nostril visible, and big triangle. And look at the shape of the eye. It's like a little wedge. When you put these facial features in a different perspective, their shapes are nothing like what they are in the front view. Now here on the screen, we have another example. This is a madman. Look at these eyes. He looks like he's about to murder me. Trace these shapes. Let's try to understand the shape of these features, right? So the eye looks like this. I mean, this is kind of how you expect eyes to look on a serial killer. Here is a profile view of Ross. Now look at the profile view of Ross. Look at this eye. It's like a little pizza. Here's a very easy way to remember this. Front view is just eyes, okay? It's just what you expect. But profile is pizza. Front view eyes, profile pizza. Front view eyes, profile pizza. Now just to give you guys an example, I've drawn a very quick 2-minute sketch of a dude, but we're gonna give him some eyes. What I see the most and what we don't want to do is to just draw an eye the way we think it's supposed to look, like this. I mean, that could work. You know what you're looking at, but he's not desirable. So instead of that, remember, profile, pizza. What we're gonna do is get this nice pizza slice shape in here. The eyelid, the iris, and now we have a dude who is believable and desirable. So look at the difference, okay? Here's perspective, here's no perspective. Perspective, no perspective. You have to change the shape of the facial features based on the perspective of the head. I got another one here. This is Cynics, a handsome lad. Okay, look at his eyes, right? Beautiful, deep, dark, the eye bags and the eyebrows. And right here is his eye line. Here's the center line. Here's sad Cynics. Sad Cynics is gonna look a little bit different. Here's the center line. His head is down now, so the eye line is gonna curve downwards. His eyes are no longer carrying the flaming spark of life. There's no more will to live here. His eyebrows are down, his eyes are down, his nose is lower. This shape is more tapered. He looks completely dejected. Whereas you look at normal Cynics, look at the shape of his face. Less of a taper, the nose is up, the eye line is straight. Now here, take a look at this beautiful eye drawing that I prepared. It's beautiful, is it not? No, it's not. It's not beautiful. Look at this. So this really is an example to show you that no matter how good you think your rendering is, if your perspective is not on point on the facial features, your character is going to look awkward. They're going to look like they've got their head stuck in a door or something. Anyway, so hopefully this video has been helpful for you guys. This is just something that I see so often in my art roast videos and, a lot of beginners work. And it's such a simple concept to keep in mind. Now, right after this video, you're not going to just magically start drawing better. Your art is not going to be magically fixed. Your life is not going to just all come together. Your parents still aren't going to love you. But at least now you know why. The key to doing anything well is to understand the why, and now you do. I want you guys to take this with you in your future portrait drawings, in your practices, in your studies. Keep in mind the perspective that's being applied on all the different facial features, and make sure they don't go all out of whack and your character ends up looking like... And personally, it took me a really long time to fully grasp this concept and be really confident with it. So give yourself some time, be patient with yourself, don't put yourself down, stop putting... You're not allowed to put yourself down. Only I am allowed to put you down. Anyways, if you guys found this video helpful, feel free to subscribe to my channel to see more art content and art advice just like this. And if you guys are looking for a little bit more teaching, a little bit more guidance, we do monthly tutorials over on my Patreon. So with that being said, guys, now go out there and close down your YouTube tab and go do some drawing, go have some fun, and stop listening to Colleen. I'll see you all on the next video. Guys, look at this beautiful big boy back here. This is a bird of paradise plant. He is a growing boy, looking amazing. Ever since I've moved into this new space, I've become a very proud plant father. Let me show you guys this real quick. Look at this beautiful, beautiful tree. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. Look at that. Look at that. And look at this little guy. Wow. He's one day going to grow up to become a big, strong tree. One day. Absolutely wonderful. I feel like a grandpa.